However, like has been mentioned, one of the benefits of being in leadership in that committee as a vice chair is that we have a lot of discussions. Chairs and vice chairs come together to make final decisions on what's happening. Every other year it changes who starts with the budget, and this year the budget starts in the Senate. So in the House, we are going to be in a situation where we aren't taking the first crack at negotiating the budget. We are responding to the budget that the Senate agrees to put together. So it puts us in a little bit of a disadvantage from a negotiating position over on this side. That said, in that back room, I'm fighting like hell in every single discussion to say that this should not happen and under any circumstance, and I'm working to try to pull the votes together. We learned in just as we went through a really tough battle recently with the marriage equality, that you never ever give up, that you have those dogged, determined conversations with your colleagues in the hall every chance you get, and you try to win over one vote at a time and just do whatever you can to make it happen. That said, there are so many things that get funded in the budget. Everything, it's not just education, it's public safety and it's health care, and there are a whole range of things that come into consideration. And we can't say right now with certainty whether or not some of these changes in the maintenance of effort bill might change the whole dynamic of the conversation. I go back to Exhibit A and what I discussed in the first hour. I think the whole pension shift discussion this year can be put off the table because there is no money to be gained in this budget that we are negotiating this session from doing a shift. All of the changes are for out years, and we can have an out year discussion in the interim if necessary if the economic conditions don't turn around.
And I second that part where you say pushing it off to out years as we continue to discuss, and I thank you for fighting in the back room hard, and I know you're fighting hard for us, so we appreciate that. But I want to go back to one thing that you asked about lifting the tax cap. From the Maryland Association of Counties, many of the counties across the state of Maryland cannot or do not support lifting the tax cap or saying you counties can lift the tax cap, because many of our voters out here have said, no, for example, in Prince George's County, that would have to go to referendum, and they voted that they don't want to lift the tax cap. We have trim in Prince George's County. So that would not work for Prince George's County because many of our voters would be against that.
Yeah.
My name is Dawn Pipkin, and I'm an instructional resource teacher in St. Mary's County. I live in one of those districts where education is 38% of our budget, but we're a very wealthy district. I want to ask all of you, someone said in the first hour that they want to stand behind us and be the voice for public education. I'm going to ask all of you to stand in front of us because we are all here having that conversation all the time. But two things. What is PTA doing? What are County Council of Counties? What are those groups doing to educate? Because you see a room full of people who worked all day who are here because they care about this issue. So what kind of things are those groups as well as our legislators doing to get the message out to constituents about why this is important? Because I think education shouldn't be a bipartisan issue. And the other piece is when you speak about the pension, I wonder if anybody up there could tell us the amount of money that would be stabilizing the pension fund if we had not gone to 2% pension in 2000 when I got hired, and then since changed it how many times, so that now we're back to where we started in 2000 at 7%. So educators are doing that part, going to the general fund, as indicated last time. But where's all that money? Because we keep saying it's about sustaining the pension, but we still don't have the answer. Thanks.
Let's start with the PTA. And I'm curious, because you're also vice president of the state PTA Association.
I actually sit as vice president of councils for Maryland PTA. And Maryland PTA has a legislative agenda. They have folks, about 7 of them, that meet basically weekly and go through a bill chart of everything that's pretty much on the educational list, and some to each side of that, depending on how it affects children, because our over guiding principle is what affects children and protecting children. But it's a small amount of folks. It's 9 or 10 folks. Like you said, everybody, I have a real job that, I run a toy store for a living. And, it's a fun job. But I have only a limited amount of time. and I wear a hat as a council president, and I wear a hat as a vice president, and I probably get 3 or 4 hours worth of time sitting on the computer perusing the MLIS or MS. I always get the MLIS. Thank you. I always get that wrong. And
it takes you 3 hours because our website is an 8-track.
Cumbersome.
Yeah, it's like an 8-track tape in an iPhone universe.
And it doesn't tell you what you're talking about today.
Yeah.
It never tells you what you're talking about today.
Right.
And the newspaper doesn't tell you what you're talking about today. And you get one side of a conversation from who attended the hearing and spoke out. So you never always get, as a parent, the whole story ever until it's either published or somebody comes to a community meeting and talks about it for 15, 20 minutes. And we appreciate that. And you guys put in a ton of time passionately on issues, or you wouldn't be here doing it.
Absolutely.
I wholeheartedly believe that. And as parents, it's incumbent on us to get as much information as we can. And I think some PTAs do a really good job of that. But they're more concerned about what's right in front of them. They're more concerned whether there's an issue of school uniforms in there, or if they need a playground, or if they need smart boards, or if they've lost a teacher in the 5th grade because of that population shift from 3rd to 4th to 5th. Now all of a sudden they need a teacher in kindergarten. 5th grade is going to be the one that eats that population, and you go 6 or 7 more kids in a classroom with hopefully an extra aide or something. But we find ourselves bogged down in the minutia that is that, and trying to protect what's close to us right now. And as a county council president, I get to see 84 little snapshots of that. And I get, probably 40 or 50 emails every day that is just, hey, Ray, this is what came up today. How do I handle that? What's the best person to call in contact? I send out delegate lists and legislator lists probably once a week to folks. These are the 5 people you need to talk to. These are the ones you need to send a letter to, call, email, do something with. Make sure that they know that issue is important to you. We have, for lack of a better term, a dysfunctional county council in Anne Arundel County at the moment. They can't get out of their own ways, tongue-tied. And it's incumbent upon us as parents to get up there in front of that microphone, as many of us do every budget cycle, and stand in front of them and say, this is what's most important. Our children, our teachers, and the way that we are doing business. It's not acceptable in Anne Arundel County the way it is right now. It's a hard thing to stomach when you stand there as a parent and look, and they're arguing over District 1's seat for 2 entire council sessions.
So is this in the interest of time? We have maybe 10 minutes left. I do want to get to my other teacher. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Can I answer? Yes. I think one of your questions was, what are we doing to get the word out? Well, the Maryland Association of Counties, in partnership with many of the unions and many of the stakeholders, has formed a Stop the Shift coalition. And with that Stop the Shift coalition, we've held press conferences as a unified press conference with our labor, all the stakeholders involved in this, whether it was fire, police, library, county officials from all the counties, elected officials from all the counties across the state except for one. And we continue to write emails through email blasts. We continue to have work. And I want you all to put this date on your calendar. March 5th, we're going to have another lobbying day here in Annapolis. Stop the Teacher Pension Shift, sponsored by the coalition.
Now, can one of the delegates give a very kind of precise answer to the second question so we can get back to our teachers in the few minutes we have left?
One thing about the advocacy piece, I would say that from Montgomery County's perspective, from the unions, from the teachers, from the civics, from every group, we've been getting this message for at least 5 or 6 years from every group possible about the teacher pension shift, and so much so that I was going to Civic Association meetings and not hearing it from teachers who were very involved with the issue. But I came down to Annapolis and asked my colleagues from other jurisdictions if they were hearing it as well years ago, and they weren't. So I think it's incumbent upon everyone that if it doesn't happen this year, to not stop the advocacy, because it could happen next year or the year after, and that it has to be heard from every group, and that our union did a good job spearheading this for 5 or 6 years now, that it's trickled down where it became the mantra of our delegation. And I think to make that happen around the state, they have to be hearing it from every group.
We literally have 5 minutes left in this hour, so let's get back here. We didn't get the pension questions. Maybe we'll do before we get out of here. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Robert Silkworth. I'm a 40-year veteran teacher at North County High School in Anne Arundel County. And my concern is about kids. That's why I began to teach. I think that's why all of the teachers here do teach. It's not for the money. It's because of the fact that we care so much about our kids. I'm concerned about the young teachers. Many of Anne Arundel County's young teachers are $10,000 to $12,000 behind because their steps have not been funded in the past 3 to 4 years, and they took a 2% hit last year with the change of the pension. And we don't want the pension to be sent back to the counties. That is absolutely, it just can't happen. My question, though, is about the maintenance of effort. In the new proposal, which is supposed to be revealed tonight, is there anything in this new proposal that will guarantee that each county will meet the maintenance of effort? And the second part of that question is, right now in Anne Arundel County, it's my understanding that we have not met that, and that our schools, our kids, could be facing a $3.8 million penalty. Kids shouldn't be penalized.
So let me say, in the interest of time, let me say that the people listening to this now, it's Wednesday, so maybe you can answer the question. There's no other press here but us, so.
The answer is yes with conditions, but you'll see the provisions tomorrow.
All right.
That's all she can do.
Anne Arundel County is $12 million in the whole MOE. It is facing right now that $3.8 million extra chunk, which is basically a penalty taken away from Maryland state aid money coming back. So it's money that we don't actually have at the moment, but it's money we're not going to get either. Right.
So we have.
And we start $12 million in the hole.
If the teachers who are lined up here, we literally have 2 minutes, so you can both have something said very quickly. You can say it.
Hi, my name is Lynn Harris, and I'm a proud resident of District 20 in Montgomery County, and I'm not a teacher, I'm a parent. And I am just so grateful to the people like you who teach my child every day. And if I were king, you would all make $1 million a year.
We really have you only have 30 seconds.
And my question is there anything in maintenance of effort that will make counties take into account not only the number of students in their school districts, but the demographics of those students, the number of kids receiving free and reduced price meals, the number of students needing English language support, the number of students needing special services?
The maintenance of effort law will be based on pure pupil funding. The 2002 Thornton law already takes into account those special populations in the funding.
Ma'am, please.
10 seconds.
Everyone 10 seconds.
Kate Weed at Anne Arundel County. Arnie Duncan came out with a statistic that about 1 million baby boomers out of educators in the next 4 to 6 years are going to retire. What's a competitive edge for Maryland nationally with the county pension?
Good question.
Scary question.
What is the competitive edge for Maryland if we shift to a county pension?
To bring teachers here.
We're 54th, I understand. How that works, I don't know.
Probably killing the territories, Guam, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico.
Some states have multiple systems.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question back to you? If this is purely just for devil's advocate purpose and to get a sense from the room whether or not this is still on air. If the shift comes with, and Ingrid's not going to like this question, but if the shift comes with the maintenance of effort changes that require the county, so are you agnostic as long as everything still gets paid? Are you agnostic on who pays the bill? If the state forces the question to the counties and the county has to pay, And there's no question of whether or not you guys are going to get the amount of money needed to still have maintenance of effort and the pensions in place.
No. They said no.
That's good to know, because as I've asked this question generically,
it's going to hurt services across the board if you do it that way.
It always happens at the end of every meeting like this. It gets revved up at the end.